Hey guys, it's Michelle, and this is the Cozy Egg Podcast. Thanks for joining. Today is Thursday, March 17th. It's St. Patrick's Day, and this is episode 12. So thanks for joining. And I know that there's, a lot of the podcasts that I have been watching lately have commented on how many new podcasts there are out there, and they're just cropping up everywhere. So if this is your first time here, welcome. And I'm so glad you decided to take some time and come and check me out. If you're returning, welcome back, and thanks for joining as well. So I'm Michelle. I'm the host of the Cozy Egg Podcast, and you can find my blog, my crafting blog, over at cozyegg.cozyeggdesigns.com. You can also take a look at my my lifestyle blog, or I also have a brand new blog, my Cozy Life blog, which is all about essential oils. So anyway, and I apologize for the shaking. Tut has not settled yet. I'm hoping he will here shortly. We'll see. So anyway, so let's get to it. What have I been up to? Well, let me let me see if I can get to this before he decides he needs to come and let's see if I can get him to settle. Okay, so what have I been up to? Well, the first thing is I, this past weekend, went to the Dallas Quilt Show, which I try to do every year. And so this year I had the opportunity through, I'm not a member of the Dallas Quilt Guild, but I am a member of the Dallas Modern Quilt Guild. And so I did have the opportunity to sign up to volunteer. So I did that. I decided to take the day off. The show was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this past weekend. I decided to take Friday off from work, and I volunteered for 4 hours, so 8 to 12. And I got to work in a couple different places, which was fun. I got to meet some people, and generally had a good time. And then I took a little break and had some lunch, and then spent the rest of the afternoon wandering around the show and looking at all of the fabulous quilts. And I did kind of breeze through the vendors that were there too, which is always a fun thing to do, is to visit the vendors. But I was only window shopping. So, but there were lots of fun things to be had, and some of my favorite shops were there, which was nice to see. So that's what I did this past weekend. I posted up just a couple of pics on Instagram while I was there. I did take a ton of photos, like I always do, and so my intention is to get a blog post put together shortly that has some of my favorites from the show, so that you can get to see them. One of the quilts that I showed, or that I posted on Instagram, was this fabulous steampunk version of a Baltimore album quilt, which was so fantastic in so many different arenas. I can't even begin to tell you how fabulous it was. But I did take a bunch of close-ups of it, so I'll share those on my blog post so that you can see, because it really was a stunner. And I loved that it was so different. It was it was obviously it was a traditional quilt. It was a, you know, a spin on a Baltimore album quilt. But doing a steampunk twist to it was really brilliant, I thought. So anyway, so that was a lot of fun. So I did that this past weekend. Of course, coming up in the next couple of weeks, over the first weekend of April, is the DFW Fiber Fest, which I went to last year. My intention is to go to that again this year. I'm thinking I may go ahead and take the day off on Friday and just go on Friday. So we'll see. If you are planning on going to Fiberfest, please absolutely let me know. Shoot me a message somewhere, Instagram or my blog or Ravelry or wherever, and let me know that you'll be there, because I would love to meet up with folks. So anyway, so those couple of things, I think that's it for like the shows that have been kind of on my radar. The other couple of things that I've had going on, I have been working diligently. One of the things that I want to do this year is to kind of clean up the clutter, and not just physical clutter, but also mental clutter. And I have found that one of the big struggles that I've had with, you know, having started my blog in 2006, and, you know, now here we are in 2016. And of course, when I started my blog, you know, all of my photos were over on web shots, and, you know, then Blogger moved some things over to Picasa, and so then I had stuff at Picasa and, you know, what have you. So my now that I've moved my blog over to my own domain, one of the things that I'd like to do is to get all of my photos moved over to Flickr, which is where all my new ones are getting uploaded. Excuse me. So in order to do that, one of the things that I'm having to do is I do all of my my photo editing, and kind of my photo organization is all done in Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom. And so one of the things that I'm doing is I'm going through all of my photos, not just for my blog, but all of my photos, and I'm keywording things and I'm organizing things, and then from there doing some editing, etc. So I've been working really diligently at trying to get that done, and have it, you know, get those photos ready so that I can then export them over to Flickr, and then, you know, link them into my blog posts. So that's the plan anyway. And I started it, I think, 1999, and I've made it up to 2006. So it's kind of slow going, but I've been spending a lot of time trying to work on that. And, you know, my intention not only to get everything, you know, fixed with my blog and have everything in one place there. The other piece, though, is to be able to have all of my photos in one place, have them keyworded so that I can search for things, so that if I want to look at, you know, all the photos of Ramses, who was just rubbing on the camera, if I want to look at all the photos of Ramses that I have, then it's easily, you know, searchable for me, sortable for me, so I can filter and get those quickly. And then that makes things really, you know, a lot easier, especially if I'm looking for some things specific, as opposed to trying to remember what year was that, what month was that. You know, once you get a number of photos, that becomes much more difficult to figure that out. So anyway, that's the other thing that I've been working on, spending a lot of my free time on, trying to get that sorted. And then the other thing that I've been doing, you know, some of you may be aware of this if you follow me on Instagram. or if we're, friends on Facebook, is I have been doing Whole30 again. So I did it last year about this time. It was a little later in the year. I think I actually started it in April last year. But this year I wanted to do it over Lent. And so I'm actually still in the midst of doing Whole30. Technically I'm done with Whole30. I'm on day 37, I believe. So, my intention is to go through the remainder of Lent. And it's been a very different experience this time than it was the first time. There were a lot of things that I was already prepared for. But then there's a lot of things that kind of cropped up this time that I was not expecting, not anticipating. But I'm working through it, and thanks to, my wonderful support system, I've been able to, reach out to the folks that have experience with this and say, hey, lend me your ear, give me some advice. What should I do? Give me a little pep talk because I'm needing it today. So anyway, so that's the only other thing that I have that's been kind of going on. So why don't we talk about crafting and what I have been working on there. So finishes, let's talk about this because this is, it's a finish as well as a work in progress. So, I talked last time about my project roulette jar that I'm using, and I'm focusing on specific projects this year that I want to get finished. And so after I finished hairpins, the next one that I pulled up was my Anniversaries of the Heart by Blackbird Designs. And so here's where I'm at. I've got January, February, the bonus block, March, and now I'm working on April. So my finish is the March block, which is that one with the little bunny and the brick house. So I finished that. I'm very pleased with it. It's I did the personalization on it with Eric's grandparents' names, and they were just born a day apart. And so you can see I've got, let's see if I can do this, if I can point and hold it at the same time, 329 and 328. So finish that. So that's my finish, my only finish that I have to share with you today. But that's my March block. And that one was, I started it like on the plane back from Germany, and it just had been sitting in the closet, not being worked on at all. So I was really pleased to get that done, and it felt really good to have it finished finally. I got hung up on a couple of places where I had to make some color decisions. The windows, the color of the inside of the windows, the window panes themselves, the color that it called for was actually, my skein of it was exactly the same color as the outline of the windows. So that was a no-go. And then I tried, I pulled another thread that I thought would work, but then it was too bright, too white. And so then I finally found this one, and this worked really well. And then down here, the, I'm going to call it the foundation of the house. The way that this was actually charted, it's charted for 32 count fabric, and you use typically 2 strands of thread on 32 count. And so what they had done was they had taken the 2 different threads for the bricks and you use 1 thread of each blended together to do this foundation. Well, I'm stitching this on 40 count, so obviously I can't do 2 threads because I'm using 1 thread on 40. You would be hard put to get 2 threads in stitching on 40 count linen. So I ended up using, my friend Mary suggested that I use the same color that I had used for the outline of the windows down here for the foundation, and that worked beautifully. So many thanks to her for that suggestion. So finish that one, and then we'll move right into my work in progress, which is the April block. And so this one is called, the March one, the chart is actually called A Wish for You, I think. And so this is the April block, and let me show you the chart for that. So it's Blackbird Designs, Anniversaries of the Heart. This is pattern 4, and it's called Pink Hill Manor. So this one, the personalization on it is going to be for Eric and I with our wedding date because we were married in April. So that's what I'm going to do there. And here's my sweet little needle minder that my friend Kim made for me and gave to me for my birthday last year. The little beads here get a little wonky when they're in my bag, so, but you can see the 2 little Egyptian cats on there, the black cats, which as you're well aware, I have 2 black cats. So so that's my April block, and it's coming along. I've got this on my Q snaps, so I just took that off so I could show it to you. And I can't show you the bag that's in because it has now become a napping spot. So he settled. Okay, so that's it for stitching. That's really all I've been working on stitching wise. And then quilting. So a few weeks ago, back in February, I want to say it was, you know, around the 15th, whatever, that second weekend, the Dallas Modern Quilt Guild does a Saturday sew. And so I'd never been, but my friend Mary and I decided that we would go, check it out, you know, see how it is. And so we decided to go in February, and I was just not feeling lugging my, you know, machine up there and getting all of that junk out to sew, and everything that I had to work on sewing wise was stuff that I needed to make decisions about and pull fabric for, and, you know, things like that. So I was not feeling it. So what I ended up doing was I just took fabric and my cutting mat, and I just planned to cut fabric, and that's what I did. So, and it was perfect. That was the perfect choice because it was relatively mindless. You know, I was tired, I was a little irritable, and so cutting fabric was perfect. So I decided to take my Anchors Away quilt. This is a pattern designed by Tula Pink, as you can see. I've talked about this before briefly when I was pulling fabrics for the, you know, the My Precious Cal, or you know, the Sew My Stash 2015. This was one of the projects that I pulled and started cutting fabric for. So as you can see, it's an anchor, and it's from her saltwater line, and the anchor itself is made up of all of these 2-inch squares of the blue line of fabric, the blue colorway of that saltwater line. So it actually, you know, this is a free pattern on Tula Pink's site, by the way, so if you're interested, go check it out. I've seen it done in coral, in the coral colorway. Absolutely gorgeous in the coral. Very different looking, but really beautiful. But anyway, here, you know, you can see the cutting instructions, and it's like cut 108 2-inch squares. So the total number of squares is actually 659 2-inch squares. And I got all of them cut out that day. So, and what I did, I've got these in my little Vera Bradley Night Owl bag. It was a gift several years ago. And you just have to come and sit right here, don't you? Anyway, so I just have these in my little baggies and my little Ziploc snack bags. And I, that way I could keep track of what I had cut, what I still needed to cut, all of that. And I did have, a few things cut, but not much. So I did do the bulk of my cutting while I was there. And fun. And so I went into this project not knowing if I had enough fabric, because I was using fabric that was left over from the mini quilt swap that I did. I used this fabric for that to make my partner's quilt, and I was not entirely sure that I would have enough fabric to cut all the squares that I needed to cut, because I was, I had started with like a 1/2 yard piece or something, but then I was having to cut around where I had previously cut. But anyway, and not only did I have enough fabric to cut all my squares out, but I actually had extra, so I can easily get my my big hexagons that I'm doing. I can easily get those cut out of that, one of each, which I'm excited about. So that was a very productive day. And like I said, for how I was feeling, it worked out perfectly, because I was able to just cut and just, sort of be mindless, and I wasn't dragging my machine up there, and it just worked out beautifully. So we were actually going to try to go again this month, but I've got a class that I'm teaching this coming Saturday, so I won't be able to go this month. And then next month I actually have a symposium that I'm going to on that Saturday, so I will not be able to go next month either. So maybe on May I'll be able to go to the Saturday sew again. And then in June, I think we have our next in-town sewing retreat that you've heard me talk about, that I love going to. That's, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all day, all night. So hopefully before then I can get some things ready, prepped and ready to go, so that I can sew when that day comes up. So that's all that I have quilting wise. I did, get out my hex on the beach and looked at it, but I haven't really done anything on it. So, and then knitting. I don't recall if I may have talked about this last time. I don't recall, but it is living in this cute little drawstring bag with gnomes, traveling gnomes on it. There he is in London. Here he is with a kangaroo, and in Russia. This bag was actually, it was a gift, and it was actually intended to be like a lingerie bag for when you travel. And I always forget it when I travel, and it's been hanging in my closet. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put my knitting in it, because it's really too cute to just sit in the closet or to just be a travel bag. So that's what my my knitting is in. So I am working on the Mistake Rib Scarf by Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern, and I don't have a photo of it, but you can probably get the gist. It's a ribbed scarf. And since I can't remember if I showed this to you last time or not, I may be repeating myself, but the yarn that I'm using is this Lion brand. I know, don't cringe, homespun. And in the Nouveau colorway. So I bought this back when I first learned how to knit. So like, 10 years ago, rough guess. And what I decided I was going to do with this, because I loved the color, and I liked that it was the weird curly, wavy yarn. And so I was going to do this wrap, basically, which is essentially a big freaking rectangle. Well, now that I have knit a shawl, and so I started this wrap, however many years ago. Well, now that I've knit a shawl and that I've got the stuff, to knit yet another shawl, and they're lovely, and I'm so excited to be using, a fabulous, Miss Babs yarn and doing another weight shawl, which I've not started yet. But my thought was I was going to get back to this and finish it and then move on to my next weight shawl. But, I just, a big, huge rectangle of yarn was not appealing to me. So I decided that I really would love to have just a long, cushy, squishy scarf, because I do love the color of this yarn, and with it being acrylic, I could easily wrap it around my neck and not be itchy or anything from the wool, because sometimes wool bothers me a little bit. So anyway, so I have started that, and here's where I'm at, and you can see the pretty kind of ombre color. It gets this kind of blue-green, and then it goes up to this kind of burgundy, and it's got kind of a base of brown, but you can see the rib in there, and you can see how it's kind of squishy. So now I did modify this. So the mistake rib scarf pattern actually calls for you, it's a 2x2 rib, but it actually calls for you to well, your gauge is totally different, first of all, because they're wanting you to use size 6 needles, extra fine merino, and I'm using size 10 needles with this yarn. So the scarf was coming out like this wide with the number of stitches to cast on that they had suggested. So I worked on that, and then I just kept thinking, I'm not loving this, so I ripped it out and I cast on like half the number, and that's what this is. So and I've got the notes and everything in Ravelry, but I'm much happier with the width of it now, so I think this will be much better, and with it being kind of scrunchy, I think it'll be fine. So and I'm using my Addy Turbos that I bought forever and ever ago. These are, like I said, size 10, and it looks like they're 32-inch circulars. So that's what I'm using. And, this is when I ripped it out, I just balled it, wound it in a ball. And see how pretty that is? I just love the color. But yeah, it's this weird kind of crinkly Darn. It looks like that crinkly, you know, gift bag stuff that you get. That's what that reminds me of. But anyway, it's so pretty, but yeah. So I do have another skein of it. You know, I figure I'll just kind of wing it and see when I feel like it's long enough, then I'll stop. So anyway, that's what I'm working on knitting wise. It's nothing really exciting. It's certainly not with any exciting kind of yarn, but you know, keeps me off the streets. So that's it for my whips. Stash enhancement, there really hasn't been any stash enhancement. Like I said, you know, I didn't buy anything at the quilt show. I was very good. I did have to go and buy a couple of threads that I needed for my April block, my Anniversaries of the Heart block. I was missing 2 threads, and while I was at it, I took a look at the threads for the next block, and I think I was missing 3 for the next block, so I just went ahead and bought all of those. And I would show them to you, but someone's laying on them. So anyway, thread, nothing very exciting. But that's really the only stash enhancement that I've had is 5 skeins of Gentle Arts thread. So, so books. I finished The Story of Awkward. Let me see if I can get you the photo where it's not. So R.K. Ryle's The Story of Awkward. This was actually, it's hard to see, I'm sorry. This was actually a free ebook, Kindle book that I downloaded. And it was good. It was enjoyable. You know, it reminded me a lot of Rainbow Rowell's books a little bit. So it was a, you know, it was a quick, easy read. I enjoyed it. So I finished that, and that was kind of my take along, you know, while I was at doctor's office or, you know, whatever. That's what I was reading. And then the other thing, of course, that I was reading was Make It Happen by Laura Casey. And this book, you know, Eric gave it to me for Christmas. I'd asked for it. I started it on January 1st, and I thought, you know, boom, it's not that thick. I'm going to whip through this. Well, this book it's an interactive book. So it really has you work through things and, you know, identify where you've got some roadblocks, looking at your goals, looking at, you know, where you want to be and how to get there, that kind of thing. It's really well written. I love Laura Casey. If you have never heard of her, you might take a quick peek at her blog. And she also does, you know, does a lot of periscoping, so you can look back at her previous periscopes. She's on a bit of a social media hiatus. They just adopted a new baby, so she's taking some time off for that. So, but I just love her. I love her message, and you know, I really enjoyed this book. I would highly recommend it, especially if you are feeling like, you know, you're going through, you know, the day-to-day stuff, but you're never really getting to the things that are important. This is really, it really puts it in perspective and has you look at what there's a little gnat flying around here, what those important things are, and, you know, make sure that you prioritize them so that you can start working towards those goals. So highly recommend this. So then after I finished that, I wanted to, I wasn't really sure what to pick up next. I did actually pull a book out of my to be read jar, and the book that came out is not a book that I own, unfortunately. So, in the interest of not running out and purchasing something immediately, I just sort of, I drew it, I set it aside to think about, because it's a book that I think I would want in a actual book format rather than an ebook. But then I got to looking around at, I mentioned earlier some, lots of podcasts, and I've been watching a few new to me podcasts, and one of them is the Fiber by Design, or the O-Loops podcast. So I started watching those, love them. And they do over in their Ravelry group, they do a book club. And so the first book for this year is The Lake House by Kate Morton. And let me see if I can show you that. So The Lake House by Kate Morton. And I think this was like their January, February selection. Of course, here it is March, and I haven't finished it yet. But, and I have never read anything by Kate Morton, but she comes highly recommended. So a lot of folks that I know have read her books and really liked them. So I've started, I started reading this. I'm really enjoying it. I did get the ebook version, so I've got it on my iPad, on my Kindle app, and I'm really enjoying it. So if you're looking for something to read, I would highly recommend that too, because I'm finding it really engaging. So that's it for me for reading. And then let's see, what else did I want to tell you about? Oh, so I thought I would do just real quick my little an oil of the week, since I did this last time. So my oil of the week is White Angelica. This is a Young Living essential oil. These are therapeutic grade oils. And so White Angelica is a blend of several different oils, and it is a blend of bergamot, melissa, geranium, ylang ylang, rose, myrrh, spruce, royal Hawaiian sandalwood, hyssop, and rosewood. So lots of good things in there. Rose and melissa specifically are very expensive, very precious oils. So this has a ton of good stuff in it. And so White Angelica promotes feelings of protection and security when diffused, and can be used to guard against negative energy. So the reason that I chose this oil this week, this has actually been very helpful to me lately. I mentioned that I have been a little irritable, and what's interesting is that, doing Whole30, strangely, cleaning up your diet really affects your mood, meaning that once you get all the junk out of your system, your mood naturally elevates. The other thing is that your energy level also elevates. Unfortunately, I think that I am dealing with some other health-related things that are going on that are affecting my mood and my energy level. So I've been struggling a little bit because I was, I'm doing Whole30, but I was not reaping the benefits of Whole30, I'll put it that way, which makes it a little harder to, to stick to your guns and to, stay on program when you're not sure that you're really getting the results that you want to get and really feeling like it's worth it, so to speak. I mean, I know it's worth it, but I've been struggling with that quite a bit lately. And so anyway, because my mood has been, so not good, I've just been very, very low on patience, and I've been very irritable, and so irritable, in fact, that I am annoying myself, if that tells you anything. So this has been going on for several weeks now. So I did actually have an appointment with my doctor yesterday, and we're doing some blood work, and we'll see what comes out of that. But if my suspicions are correct, it's easily fixable. So anyway, but my white angelica, what I do with my white angelica is I don't diffuse it, because this little beauty, I feel like I'm wasting it if I diffuse it. It's so good. It smells so good. So what I do with it is I put it on my shoulder blades, and because it's an oil that increases your feeling of protection and security and dispels negative emotions. When I put it on, what I envision, and this is probably going to sound a little woo-woo, but what I envision is that it's like my angel wings that are, protecting me. So I put it on my shoulder blades, and sometimes I wear it in my diffuser necklace as well, so that I can smell it, but it works wonders. So this has been a real lifesaver for me, and probably for the people around me lately. So highly recommend it. So anyway, so that's the oil of the week. And if you're interested in learning more about essential oils, please go check out my site. It's cozylife.cozyeggdesigns.com, and I'm starting to put more content over there. I'm slowly building that up, and I will have, I've started kind of a blog where I can put some tips and tricks and, things like that, things that I like and things that are working. So anyway, feel free to check that out. And if you have any questions about oils, I, would be more than happy to try to answer them for you. So anyway, I think that's all that I have for today. So we're right at the 42-minute mark. So I did pretty good for not having a whole lot to share. I guess I had more than I thought I had. More to say anyway. I still intend to try to get myself to a every 2-week schedule. So keep that, in, in consciousness that I will eventually actually get to a 2-week schedule. But anyway, that's my plan. And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, Flickr, Ravelry, all as Cozy Egg. You can get to my crafting blog at cozyeggdesigns.com. Of course, you can always just go to cozyeggdesigns.com, and from there you can get to any of my places: Cozy Egg, Cozy Style, Cozy Life. Really easy to get there from here. And then you can also, of course, find me on YouTube, which is where this video will be uploaded, as well as I will put it on the blog with the show notes, all that good stuff. But you can always subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I would love that. And definitely, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. And I'd love, to hear your comments as well. So feel free to leave a comment either on the blog or on YouTube. I would really appreciate that. So that's all I've got for today. I will be posting up shortly the quilt show photos so that you can see those, because there were really some stunning quilts this year. So maybe next year I'll enter something myself. That's a goal. Okay. So anyway, thanks so much for joining, and I really appreciate you, tuning in to check me out. And if you like what you see, please come back, tell your friends, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks, guys.